Hello there. Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 8 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. Specifically, how to use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. If you notice the title of this, it's the 4 Ps of anxiety and depression. And it comes from kind of a takeoff on the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You probably saw that at the very beginning. You know, death and famine and conquest and pestilence or whatever they are. Things that we're supposed to avoid. So what I like to do is look at, okay, what gets in the way of our clarity, confidence, and creativity in terms of those 4 Ps. And I got this from Dr. Brené Brown. She's written a lot of books. The one that I got this from is Dare to Lead, a great book on leadership, by the way. But I understand it's also in other books as well. And she talks about the 4 Ps being performing, which is really kind of the big one, pretending, pleasing, and perfecting. So I think what we want to do is look at, all right, well, then how is that a problem? Because, you know, we all want to perform. We always want to do well. Pleasing others when that's something we want to do, that's not a bad thing. Getting better or doing, perfecting, okay, that's not so bad. But what about when it is driven by a fear of I'm not enough in some ways? For those of you who follow my life from the top of the mind philosophy, you know that I like to look at life based on how the brain processes information. And I like to kind of simplify the brain by looking at top, middle, and lower brain. Top is the neocortex. This is where our best decisions are made. This is where our clarity, confidence, creativity, compassion comes from. Middle brain's called the limbic system. Lower brain's the brainstem. Limbic system is very interesting because it's been around for a long time, trying to keep us safe by making sure we're worried about bad things happening. So it kind of has a bias toward the negative. Its belief is if we're not worried or anxious, we're not safe. And so it tries to use that anxiety and worry to keep us safe because not too long ago in our evolution, being worried or anxious or afraid or maybe even angry probably did keep us safe. Unfortunately, this middle brain isn't very smart and it's working with old software. So it has a tendency to interpret anything negative as dangerous, throws us into the part of the brain that's designed to deal with danger. That's the brainstem. And this is where we trigger our anxiety, our frustration, depression, anger, resentment, worry, all those problematic perspectives that kind of get in the way of our clarity, confidence, and creativity. So when we are born, we have no belief whether we're enough or not. We're just laying in the bassinet, We're not worried about, oh my God, I crapped in my pants. I'm a terrible baby, We learn whether we are valuable based on whether or not we are valued by the people that we look to for love, affection, and approval. So for those of us lucky to kind of grow up in homes where, parents really wanted us and loved us and approved of us and kind of let us know how confident they were in our own abilities, we grew up believing we had this kind of sense of worth and value. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't grow up in that. They grew up kind of hearing messages like, you're only enough if you please me. You're only enough if you perform, get good grades, get the right job. You're only enough if you are perfect at what you do. You bring home a report card and it's got all A's and 1 B. And okay, well, what's the problem with that B? Versus that really celebrating the A's and going, okay, well, let's look at that if we want to raise that. So what happens is we grow up and the brain starts interpreting life in a way that creates neural pathways. So if we get the message that you're not enough, or you're only enough if you can do this, then to zip, perform, please, prove, and pretend, then we start kind of bringing that into adulthood. And now we're trying to please everybody in order to be seen as valuable. We're trying to perform in order to be seen as worthy of other people's appreciation. We're trying to pretend when we make mistakes, oh, I didn't make a mistake. It's okay, no problem, because we're not confident enough to own that mistake because it goes to our own sense of worth and value. And so what we want to do is to recognize if we find ourselves being that way, that is being driven by the fear-based brain, this fear that we're not enough. So what's the solution? Well, the solution for a lot of people is say, I am enough. But have you noticed that when we say that, little voice in the back of the mind goes, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. We get to this internal conflict about whether or not, saying we're enough and feeling like we are enough is a different thing. So when I'm helping people kind of move past this fear that they're not enough and that performing and pleasing and pretending and perfecting perspective, what I want to do is say, okay, well, let's make sure we have a clarity about why we are enough, and maybe even not just enough, but more than enough. What I encourage people to do is create a list of, say, 20 qualities or characteristics of you at your best. And most people go, 20? I might be able to do 5, maybe 10, but 20? The reason I want you to do 20, and by the way, it's okay to ask the people around you for help, is because we want to overwhelm this middle brain to see, okay, we are safe, because remember, that's what the middle brain always wants to do, is keep us safe. We're going to be safe because of these qualities and characteristics. We're going to be worthy because of these qualities and characteristics. So it stops the middle brain, or at least begins to retrain the middle brain to see our safety and our worth based not on other people's opinion of us, but these qualities or characteristics that we bring to life. So if we've got a list of 20 qualities or characteristics and we read that list, we can very confidently say, you know, someone's going to be very lucky to be in a relationship with that person. Someone's going to be really lucky to have that person as a friend. Someone's going to be really lucky to have that person in their organization or on their team. So we go from this needing to prove that we're enough by all the P's to knowing we are enough because we know the qualities or characteristics we're going to bring to life, and then having that be our foundation. So we go into a situation choosing 2 or 3 of these qualities or characteristics that we want to bring to the situation. We now kind of go in confident in our ability to not just be enough, be more than enough, to be worthy of people wanting us to be around, liking us, caring for us because of these qualities and characteristics, not because of our ability to perform or perfect or to prove or to pretend. Hope you're finding these videos valuable. I love bringing them with you. By the way, if you would like me to come to your organization, kind of help people find this upper 80% of the brain, be able to come from the top of the mind so they're not always trying to kind of get their worth from this external perspective, this is what I love to do. You can just go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, or just Google Bill Crawford, Ph.D. I'll come up on the first page. Hit the contact button. Let me know you're interested, and I'd love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, here's to you. Bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. Clarity about your own worth and value so you're not having to prove it by pretending or performing or pleasing or all the other P's. But instead kind of going in knowing your own worth and value, clarity, confidence, and creativity to everything you do. I look forward to seeing you in the future.